And now we're going to do it a third time, and there are going to be no mistakes. We're going to be watching that. We're going to swamp them. One way when you swamp them, you get so much. There's only so many ballots they can produce. And you know what I mean by that. So we're going to swamp them. And I've never seen spirit like this. We've never had, we had great spirit in 2016, and we'd have rallies with 25, 30,000 people. We had a rally the other day in South Carolina where we had over 80,000 people coming on just a few days' notice. It was incredible. And we had great support. Again, we got many millions of more votes the second time. We had tremendous support, tremendous enthusiasm. We have never, ever had enthusiasm. Even look at this crowd. We've never had enthusiasm like we have right now. And a big part of that is you see how bad they're running our country, how incompetent they are, what China's doing to us, what everybody's doing to us. The country is laughing at our leader. They think he's a gross incompetent, that he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's totally corrupt. Other than that, he's doing a wonderful job, isn't he? It's such a sad thing for our country to be represented by this guy. I was watching his recent meetings over in Europe, and he doesn't know where the hell he is. He's on a stage, and he wasn't too sharp 30 years ago, okay? He was not the sharpest one in the pen. Just think of what we already accomplished in 4 incredible years. We delivered the largest tax cuts and regulatory cuts in history. And likewise, we built the greatest economy ever in the history of the world. China was going to catch us for 20 years. 2018, China was going to overtake us. We were doubling up. We were so far ahead of them, they never had a chance. And if we had a smart president, they would never be able to take us. We achieved energy independence, and energy dominance was going to be there right around the corner for the first time in about 78 years. I think probably more than that. I don't think we were ever dominant. We created the most secure border in U.S. history, built nearly 500 miles of border wall. I hear this sloppy Chris Christie guy. He said, Trump only built 47 miles of wall. Then they checked with the Border Patrol and the people that do that. Almost 500 miles of wall. And remember this. I said Mexico is going to pay for it some way. They gave us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. That's more than any wall. That's more. And they did that for years because while I was building the wall, and Congress fought me tooth and nail, including some Republicans. They fought me like Mitch McConnell. They fought me tooth and nail. And I ended up taking the money out of the military. I took the money out of the military because I considered it an invasion of our country. And we built almost 500 miles of wall. And then I said, we completed that job. And I said, we're going to need some more because people are coming around other areas. So we ordered 200 miles of additional wall. It was ready to be installed. Could have been done in 3 weeks. It was all there. It was all built. The hard part is getting it there and building it and getting it there. And they didn't want it to go up. And that's when I first, believed that they actually want to have an open border. It's so crazy. With people coming in, the likes of which you don't ever want in your country. But we got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. And that was hard. I like the president of Mexico. He's great. He's a socialist, but you can't have everything, right? But he's a great guy. And they laughed at me when I said, I want you to supply 28,000. That's what we need, soldiers along the border, while we're building the wall. And they said, why would we do that? I said, you just have to do it. Please do it. I would appreciate it. We will not do that. I said, well, are you sure? Then they sent a representative to see me at the State Department with a woman that was very good. She worked on Mexico for 25 years. She said, sir, they'll never do that. She'll never do that. They'll never do remain in Mexico. They'll never do catch and release into Mexico. They'll never do any of these things. I said, yes, they will. No, they won't, sir. They won't. I said, yes, they will. You watch. The guy comes in, the top representative comes into the office. I said, we need you to give us 28,000 soldiers for our border, please. He laughed at me, thought I was a fool. And I said, no, don't. If you're going to give me those soldiers. No, we cannot do that, sir. We cannot. How foolish a request. I said, no, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And if you don't do it, on Monday morning, we're going to put a 25% tariff on every single product coming out of Mexico, including cars. 32% of which you stole from the United States. They took 32% of our car manufacturing business by stupid presidents that allowed it to happen. We didn't allow it to happen. Now it's happening again. I hate to tell you, Michigan and all the states that are so good, it's happening again. They're taking the car business. The electric cars are not going to be built here. They're going to be built in China mostly. But I said to him, I said, I'm signing this, 28,000 soldiers, and what's the story? Sir, I'd like to be able to make a call. Do you mind if I come back? So I told him about the 25% tax tariff. And he comes back about 3 minutes later. Sir, we'd be delighted to supply you with 28,000. We would be delighted to give you all the soldiers you want. Please don't do that to us, sir. Please, I beg you. No, he said, we'd be delighted. It would be my great honor to give you 28,000 on behalf of the Mexican government. And these were very good soldiers. They were not politically correct either. They said, you cannot come in. And we had the greatest numbers anywhere. We deported also illegal alien criminals like MS-13 gang members that kill people for fun at a number nobody's ever seen before. Thousands and thousands. I never got enough credit for that whole deal, but we had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have the most unsafe border, I think, in the history of the world. No country would allow millions of people to just walk across the country. We have no idea who they are. I fully rebuilt the United States military, created Space Force, defeated ISIS, something which they all said you couldn't do. I did it in 4 weeks because we have great generals. We have great generals. We have not the ones that you see on television, the real generals that we have. And we have great generals, and we brought our troops back home. We got them back home, but we defeated ISIS. And I was the first president in decades who didn't start a war. I didn't start a war. We had peace through strength. As I was building that military, we got more and more bravado going, but they respected us. We did a great job, but we do. We have great soldiers. You know, it's very important for you to know that we had a case with ISIS. I was told it would take 3 or 4 years to defeat ISIS, and we had I wanted to see, because I couldn't understand it. You know, they're great fighters, by the way. And I said, I want to go and I want to see what's going on with that, because we wanted to go and do ISIS and we wanted to do the Taliban in Afghanistan. And so I went to Iraq, and I landed at this big, beautiful Air Force base. Cost billions and billions of dollars to build. I landed in the dark of night. Sir, would you please turn off your lights? 21 years I have to turn off the lights to Air Force One, would you please? And we actually came in a tanker. And I'm saying, you know, with all the money we spent, 21 years, we're flying in on these planes at dark. And, you know, I tell the story. Should anybody want to hear the story? So I get on Air Force One, and we're getting ready to land in Iraq. And they come, we're about an hour and a half out. Sir, we'd like to turn off all lights in the plane. Oh, why? Why do I have to turn off lights? Sir, we want the plane to be totally dark. We're going to be landing in an enemy zone. I said, we've been fighting them for 21 years. We got the best weapons. What the hell is the enemy zone? But we know, sir, we're landing in an enemy zone. So I said, all right, close it up. Then they come in, sir, we're going to close all the blinds. We're talking blinds, this. I mean, there wasn't a light in the plane. I couldn't see where the hell I was. I had a meeting with some people. I couldn't even see them across the desk. It was just great. But I said, you know, I want to go up and I want to see the landing, and I want to go. I have great respect for these pilots. You know, they look better than Tom Cruise, okay? These guys, they are the most handsome human beings I've ever seen. I don't like being with them too long because, you know, you get an inferiority complex, the crew car. Yes, sir. They're perfect people. You know, the top 10 people, whatever, fly Air Force One, the best people you've ever seen. So anyway, so I wanted to stay with the pilots, and, you know, because I'm hearing about this landing. And we're an hour and a half, and then half hour. I said, I'll go up with the pilots. So they're leading me along the hallways. It's crazy. Think of it. We can't control that. It's so terrible. And I go, and I'm sitting right behind the captain, the plane, and him and the co-pilot and the others. There were a lot of people up there, all like central casting. You could make a movie with every one of them, could be a star. I'd make bigger stars than they have right now. Today, who the hell do we have? We don't have stars. Today we have Rosie. Today we have Rosie. Wasn't that a lucky answer when I gave that to Megan? She just said to me, what a great answer that was, because it cut off that question. That was a horrible question. But so I'm sitting with the pilots, And, sir, we're getting ready to land. And they have, I don't know if anybody sat in one of these big commercial planes, but it's incredible. They have a computer voice, and it goes out. Sounds like a person, but it's not. Very official. 1,900, 800, 700. And it goes down. That's feet. Now, 700 feet when you're in a 747 is not high. That's real low. 600. 500. I said, Captain, Captain, are we okay? Because, you know, I'm used to landing and you'd see lights ahead, right? You know, it's called a runway. Yes, sir, we're fine, sir. He's like, you know, I'm saying, Captain, I don't see any lights. He said, sir, we don't need them. We have the finest equipment in the world. I said, oh, that's great. 400. 300, 200, 200 feet off the ground. We're in this massive plane, and the wheels are down now. Everything's down, and I see the ground. I see, you know, but everything's like black, just dark, not a light. And I say, Captain, we're okay. He goes, yes. And then, bing, boom, 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 boom. We land perfect, beautiful landing. These guys, I don't know how the hell they do it. In fact, I put myself up. I asked my people. I felt so brave in doing this. I said, am I entitled as president to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor? True. I would have done it, too. I would have done it. I would have done it. I wanted the Congressional. I thought I was so brave. I got out of that room. I'm like soaking wet. I'm saying. So I walk out, and then the stairs come down. I said, great job, Captain. The stairs go down. And there's a general standing there with another general and a couple of drill sergeants and a master sergeant. And every one of them was like, perfect, perfect. I said, that's the way you're supposed to look. Not that looks mean anything. Of course they don't. We know that, right? But that's the way. So I'm walking down the stairs. I said, what's your name, General? He says, Kane, sir. My name is Kane. What's your first name? Raisin. I said, Raisin? Your name is Raisin. So your name is Raisin Kane? Yes, sir. General, you're the guy I'm looking for. I said, you're the guy. Then he introduced me to the other general, handsome guy. Then a couple of sergeants. They were great. One of them, drill sergeants. He would have been great in the movies, playing a drill sergeant. And we went to him, sir, would you like to rest for a while, or we could meet you tomorrow? I said, rest? I've been on the plane for 20 hours. He was thinking about Biden. See, he was thinking, Biden would say, first of all, he wouldn't go there. But he would say, yeah, let's rest for a few days. No, I don't want to rest. I want to go and find out what's going on. So we met with General Raisin Kane and a whole staff. I said, so, General, let me ask you this question. We've been fighting ISIS with the best weapons in the world. We've been fighting them for many, many years, decades. And we don't seem to win. And I asked a couple of our Washington generals, who a couple of them I fired. You know that. I fired them because I thought they were incompetent. But I asked a couple of our, they were incompetent, by the way. I asked a couple of our generals, why is it that we can't defeat ISIS? We have the best equipment in the world. We have the best weapons in the world. Nobody even close. We have things that nobody, that I won't talk to you about. But we are, unlike Biden, where he tells everybody we have no ammunition. How about that one? We have no ammunition, but we're going to give more. Oh, boy. By the way, that's classified information. You know that, right? I wonder if they're going to prosecute him for that. What a stupid thing to say, though, if you're running, you know. What a stupid thing to say you have no ammunition. So I said, so, General, they're telling me it would take years to defeat ISIS, and they're not sure they can do it. What do you think? Sir, we can have it done in 3 weeks. This is Raisin Kane. I said, General, explain that, please. Well, sir, when we were here, we only attacked from this base, and this base is very far away. By the time we got there, we had to come back. But we have many satellite bases, and we have other bases in the area. And, sir, we'll hit them from the front, and we'll hit them from the back, we'll hit them from the left, the right. We'll hit them from above, and we'll even go underground if necessary. We'll hit them from so many locations, sir, that they won't know what the shit is happening. True. And I said, how sure are you of that? He said, sir, 3 weeks, maybe 4, but you'll have time left over. Now, you have to understand, I was told in Washington this thing would take years and years. We've been fighting it for years and years. That's why I went to Iraq, to find out, why can't we win? Why can't we do this? Why can't we defeat ISIS, okay? The ISIS caliphate. And so I said, General, I'll speak to you during the week, and I appreciate what you told me. And we stayed there for a little while. We had lunch and dinner with the troops, and then I got back on the plane, and we left, and I came back, and then on Monday or so I called. I said, you sure you can do it, General? I'm sure, sir. We can do it, sir. I said, good, General, let's go do it. And he just went wild. And then they said, called him up. I said, I heard you're making great progress. Yes, sir, we're going to have time left over. I told you that, sir. I said, so what's the status? Well, we have them all cornered now. We have a lot of them cornered now. I would like the approval to take them out. I said, you know, these are human lives you're talking about. No, sir. They're scum, sir. They're scum. They kill our people. They kill a lot of people. They kill their own people. They're bad people, sir. And, I mean, again, I'm telling you this story because we have a great military. Because you hear these buffoons that can't get out of Afghanistan. They take our military out first. They leave 13 dead soldiers, and what they don't tell you is how many were horrifically wounded. Their face, their arms blown off. And these are incompetent people. I didn't lose one soldier in 18 months in Afghanistan. Not one. So I said to him, so, General, what do you want to do? Take them out, sir. Just give me the order. I don't know, General. How about surrender? Do you think they'll surrender, sir? They don't know what that means. They don't know what a white flag is, sir. They don't surrender. You know what I'll tell you, General? Fly over them a few times with those big, beautiful X-16s. The F-16s are very scary. I said, just go fly over them, and maybe you'll get them to surrender. They won't surrender, sir, but I'm going to do that. So a couple of days later, he said, sir, we flew over them, and they're not doing anything other than they want to fight. And I said, then what you have to do is you have to do what you have to do. And he did his job. And I'll tell you what, we defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate. And I said, now you can come home. Come home, General, come home. I tell you that story because it's important for you to know our military is great. We just have incompetent leadership, grossly incompetent. And when Putin went into, look, I mean, it's so sad to see, when he went into Ukraine and he, did what he did, he would have never done that in a million years. It wasn't going to happen. I used to talk to him. It was the apple of his eye. I knew that. I knew him very well. I actually had a very good relationship with him. Everyone said, oh, that's horrible. Don't forget, I'm the one that closed down his pipeline. I'm the one that gave them the javelins, the anti-tank buster. When they say Obama gave him sheets, Trump gave him javelins. I was the worst thing that ever happened to Russia, but I got along with them. But think of it, I closed down the biggest job they ever had, which was a pipeline, which was going to make them so much. Biden, in his first week, approved the pipeline and let Russia build it. I had it turned down. They had started it, it was almost finished, and I stopped it. Who could do that but me? Nobody else is going to be able to do that. Nobody. I mean, I look at all these candidates, and they're lightweights. But no, nobody else is going to be able to do that. So I stopped that, did so many other things, and then the disinformation Democrats, these people are disinformation, it's all they're good at. They say, Trump is soft on Russia. I was soft on Russia. We wiped out all those tanks with the guns. I gave them, and all the sanctions I put on, and yet I got along with Putin. But the apple of his eye was Ukraine. I said, Vladimir, don't do it. It'll be so bad for you if you do it. We will hit you harder than anybody has ever hit you. You got lucky with Germany, they froze. You got lucky with Napoleon, they froze. We're not going to freeze. Missiles aren't freezing as they're pouring. And he didn't believe me, but he believed me 5%. That's all we needed, right? And I had the same conversation with President Xi of China. It was the same conversation with President Xi. I said, don't go into Taiwan, President. And I had a great relationship with him, too. It's funny. The ones I got along with best were the tough ones. The weak ones. The weak, squeamish ones, I didn't get along with them so well. I could give you some names, but I won't bother. But the tough ones, Kim Jong, he's going, please give us. Kim Jongun, I got along with. Nobody tougher. tremendous nuclear capability, nobody tougher. When we came down and when I had that little session, seating session, which is traditional with President Obama, he said, the single biggest problem we have is North Korea. I said, have you spoken to him? No. Have you called him? No, but he actually did 11 times, according to Kim Jongun, which I believe. There aren't a lot of phones over there. They have one phone in the communist headquarters. I mean, so it's not a lot of phones. But we went very nasty. It was Little Rocket Man, remember? And it was all the different things. I was calling him names. He was calling me names. He said, I have a red button on my desk, and it works for nuclear. I said, I have a bigger button on my desk, and my button really works, you know? And it was sort of dangerous. A lot of people thought it was dangerous. Then all of a sudden, I got a call. I'd love to get together, and we got together. We saved the Olympics in South Korea. Nobody was going. Nobody was buying tickets. They didn't want to be bombed out of the stadium. And as soon as that happened, we even put North Korea into the Olympics. It was a whole thing. We did a great job. We get no credit for it, but we did a phenomenal job. And there was no threat of nuclear. Remember, I went there, and I walked across. Secret Service and all of the people said, please don't walk into North Korea, but I did. I walked into it, and boy, there were a lot of guns pointed at me, I'll tell you. But we did, and we got along with them great. And we would have had a deal with them had the election not changed. We would have had a deal with Iran. Iran was dying to make a deal because we had them cut off. I told China, if you buy any oil from Iran, you're not going to do any business with us. And they stopped buying oil. Everybody stopped. They were ready to make a deal. We would have made a deal that was great for everybody. No nuclear weapons. You can't give them nuclear weapons. Now they're going to have a nuclear weapon. Now you have, think of this, China is building in Cuba. Okay, does anyone know that? They don't even talk about it. The fake news, they don't want to mention it because it's so bad. But China's building in Cuba. This is 90 miles off our coast, and nobody does. When I get in, they'll be gone within 48 hours. They will be. They will be. Can you imagine? When the Marxists toppled statues of our great heroes, I immediately signed an executive order stating that anybody who even lightly defaced a federal monument in Washington, remember they were going crazy, or statue would get 10 years in prison, no probation, no anything. And 3 years ago, in September of 2020, I proudly signed the world's very first ban on critical race theory, vanquishing those racist trainings from the federal government long before anyone else had ever heard of them. But all of that was only the beginning. With your support in 2024, we are going to put America first like never before, and we are going to finish the job that we so successfully started. You know, many people, it was 4 years, but many people say it was one of the most successful presidencies ever. Some people say it was the most successful presidency. When I get back into the Oval Office, I will totally obliterate the deep state. They will be obliterated. And we know all the good ones now. You know, when I went there, I'd only been to Washington 17 times in my life, according to the fake news, and 17 times, and never stayed there. So I wasn't a Washington establishment person. But I didn't know the people. I had to rely on people to give me names. And largely, we got great names. You know, we got the tax cut. We did so much. We rebuilt our military. But there are people that I wouldn't have put there. And I will fire all of these corrupt bureaucrats, because now, better than maybe anybody else, I know the great ones, I know the smart ones, I know the dumb ones, I know the weak ones, I know the stupid ones, but I know the ones because I know everybody in Washington. I got a PhD in learning about the people of Washington, and those people that I introduced a little while are at the top of the list too, I will tell you that. And we will create a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and all of the corruption that's gone on in our country. And before I even arrive at the Oval Office, just all I need is the victory. I don't have to be there yet, but the victory. Shortly after we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine totally settled. We'll get that settled very quickly. As I said 2 days ago, Biden gave up a lot of secrets about the condition of our country and our military with the ammunition, which is very, very classified, and the cluster bombs going to Ukraine. And just the other day, he announced he's sending thousands and thousands of troops despite the fact that the U.S. military has been so badly depleted already. We're sending thousands of troops. And the problem is we're in there for almost $200 billion, and Europe is in there for $20 billion. Now, Europe is the same size as us approximately. If you add all the countries, they're approximately the same size as us, as the United States. And why aren't they paying the same amount or more? But they're not. Not a single American mother or father should have to worry that their child will be sent to die in Eastern Europe. And I'll make a deal that's fair for Ukraine and fair for Russia. I mean, we got to make a deal. When I was on this crazy show on CNN, I don't know if anybody got to watch it, the town hall. You know, they supposedly got the highest ratings in 11 years, and they ended up firing the president over it. So we must have done well. They fired the president. It's supposed to be the opposite. You get your highest ratings, then they should give him a raise, right? But this conflict has to end. And when I'm president, it will be done very quickly, I believe in 24 hours. Now, somebody like Ron DeSantis cannot do it because he's owned and controlled by the globalist establishment who always puts America last. We all saw how quickly DeSantis reversed himself on Ukraine. You know, it's funny, the other day they were doing a straight news show, and they said, and ladies and gentlemen, we have Ron DeSantis here, and they screamed, no, it's DeSantis, you know. So that's called good branding. They can't even get his name right. The guy's introducing him as DeSantis. I love that. By the way I feel about him, just so you know, because it's a very personal meeting, it's a Saturday, we have nothing to do, right? We have nothing to do. But the way I feel, I got him elected, they'll tell you that. He was dead. He was losing to Adam Putnam by a margin, like 30 points, some massive margin. It was over. Putnam had 30 million, he had no money. He came to see me, he said, he's looking for a job as a lawyer or something, pizza parlor, lawyer, and he'll take anything. He begged me to endorse him. I said, listen, if I'm Abraham Lincoln, if I'm Lincoln and Washington together, we gave you a joint endorsement, you can't win, you're too far. No, sir, if you endorse me in the state of Florida, they love you in Florida, if you endorse me, I'll win. And he helped me on impeachment hoax number 1 and 2 a little bit. Not nearly like a great Jim Jordan or any of those guys, but, you know, he was one of 175 congressmen, because about 175 would go on television. And I'd see him on television a little bit, so he was funny. So, and I didn't know Putnam. So I said, you know what, Ron, let's give it a shot. So I said, give me something you'd like. He gave it to me. I thought it was terrible. I rewrote it. And he went up like a rocket ship. He went up so fast, and he ended up winning the primary very shortly thereafter in a landslide. Then he had to get the guy who, as you know, was a crackhead. But at the time, they thought he was the next great president. He was going to be a president of the United States, a handsome guy. He was going to be the president of the United States. And by the way, I will take Byron over this guy. This was not a good representative. This was not a good representative, Byron. But he was a handsome guy, looked good, spoke well, everything was good, and pretty much unbeatable. Him and Stacey Abrams, she was the hottest woman, he was the hottest man. They were going to have a great future. Didn't work out that way. But they took him, and Ron said, I don't think I can beat him. I said, you'll beat him. I did 3 rallies, thousands and thousands. You know the rallies, they're the greatest. We're starting the rallies again now. But the rallies are the greatest, and we had 3 of them, and he ends up winning. And he said, I won. I said, yeah, I told you you're going to win. Then 3.5 years later, they scream out a question to him. Will you run against the president? Will you run against him? He goes, I have no comment. I said, no comment? That son of a bitch is going to run against me. I got him elected. So if anybody has any questions as to why I take it a little personally, I do take that a little personally. I know I'm not supposed to. You know, a lot of pro-politicians say, don't ever tell a story like that. People don't care about loyalty. I said, I think they do care about loyalty, okay? I actually do. But I'm the only one that can make this promise. It's a big promise, especially for you in this room, because you're young and you have a big life ahead of you. I will prevent World War III. We're going into World War III. This whole thing about sending troops, there's going to be a point at which it's not going to be stopped. To stop the destruction of our national wealth, I will impose a border tariff on all foreign-made goods, everything coming into our country. They're ripping our country, and we're not going to let. We want our products made in American factories by American workers in Florida and other states. And I will also pass what we'll call the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. That means that if China is charging us 100% for something, we will charge them 100% for something. If they're 150, we will charge. Right now, they charge us 100. Now, I built it up because we took in billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars from China with the tariffs I put on. They want to take them off so badly, but they don't have the courage to do it because politically I think it would be a disaster. But more importantly, financially for us, it would be a disaster. I saved the steel industry. The people that love me the most are the steel people because you wouldn't have a steel industry right now. So if we had a war against China, we'd have to get our steel from China. Does that work? I don't think so. We need some tanks. We need steel. Let's get it from China. Now, we saved the steel industry. We will gain total independence from China, and we will hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for unleashing the China virus upon the world. We will do that in some form, in some form. I will immediately terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration. Under Biden, other countries are emptying out their prisons, insane asylums, mental institutions, and dumping everyone, including the most vicious terrorists in the world, right into the USA. I have something. Did anyone ever hear the snake? Should I do it? Because we're going to go long. You know, we're going to go a little long. That means you're going to miss your dinner. But I have a feeling you like this better. Do you like this? Should I do the snake? Should I? The snake. You know, it's about 100 degrees out, so if we're outside, you'd say, no, please don't do this thing. But it's great. This was a great song written a long time ago, and we sort of recast it, but it's true. And it has to do with terrorism. We're allowing people to come in. They're going to destroy our country. We have to get them out. We have to take them out. So this has to do with the fact that people are coming into our country through our borders. Very sad and very terrible thing is happening, and many of these people are very bad. On her work, and this is, who's heard this, by the way, just before? Who's heard this? That's pretty good. It's amazing how few, because they do it, but I think it's pretty terrific. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. Her pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found the pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you truly would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying, thank you, ma'am, the snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me, but why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. That's the end. That's the end. The snake. And that's what we're doing. We're taking in people that are very, very dangerous people. We're allowing them to come in, and they're being sent in here by the millions and millions and millions. Following the Eisenhower model, we will use all necessary state, local, federal, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. I will use Title 42, which they ended, to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries immediately. And to further deter illegal immigration, I will sign a day one executive order ending automatic citizenship for the children of illegal aliens, which brings all of those family members in with them. As the horrific riots in France have proven, we must also redouble our efforts to ensure that anyone who comes to America shares our values and assimilates into our culture. We want people who can love our country and cherish our country. Under the Trump administration, we imposed extreme vetting and put on a powerful travel ban to keep radical Islamic terrorists and jihadists out of our country, and with great success. You know that. You didn't see anything about that for 4 years, did you? And you would have seen a lot of it. When I return to office, the travel ban is coming back even bigger and much stronger than before. The United States will not be condemned for the same fate as countries like France, which are truly going through hell right now. I will also order our government to deny entry to all communists and Marxists as required by law. Our bigger problems is getting the ones that we have here out. The ones that got elected to office. We got some bad people, Shifty Schiff, and these people are sick people. They're bad people. They're liars and bad people, and I believe they hate our country. Our Democrat-run cities are more dangerous now than they ever have been in history. Crime has risen 100, 200, and even 300%. It is out of control with no end in sight. Just a few months ago, a savage illegal alien criminal in Texas with 4 prior deportations walked into his neighbor's house and executed an 8-year-old boy and an 18-year-old man and 3 innocent women, 2 of whom died immediately, along with a 6-week-old baby and a 3-year-old girl. This all took place in a very short period of time. The same week, an illegal alien in the sanctuary state of California went on a multi-day killing rampage, stabbing to death a 50-year-old man, a 20-year-old college student, and attempted to murder a 64-year-old woman. In the Bronx 2 weeks ago, a savage criminal previously convicted of attempted murder went into the streets and sprayed a hail of bullets into a crowd, one of them hitting a precious 5-year-old girl while she was riding her father's car. In Washington, D.C., on the 4th of July, Washington, D.C., so beautiful and not beautiful anymore. I kept it beautiful. If I saw 1 tent or 2 tents or 3 tents as I was coming in from the airport, I'd have them taken down immediately, because I knew that you'd have 100 tents and 1,000 tents if you don't do it. But you should see Washington, D.C. right now. In Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July, 9 people were viciously shot in a single drive-by shooting that targeted an Independence Day celebration, including a 9-year-old child. It's about time for the federal government to take over Washington, D.C. and run it properly, run it with sense, run it strongly, and end the crime. Washington, D.C., crime has become a crime capital of the world. Our national capital is not being taken care of the way it should be. We have to take care of it. We have to cherish it. We have to love it. And if we don't do that, it's very, very sad. You take a look at the numbers. People don't want to come in anymore. You have tents all over. The sidewalks smell. It's a horrible thing. The federal government has to take it over and do everything that has to be done, and it has to be tippy-top. It has to be perfect, and bring it back and make it better than it ever was, and we can do that pretty easily. It's the people that are running it don't have a clue, or they do have a clue and they don't want to see it good, but it is really bad. To stop the Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while prosecuting and persecuting conservatives, Republicans, and others, I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical district attorney and attorney general in America for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. To combat the scourge of homelessness that is plaguing Democrat-run cities, I will use every possible authority to get the homeless, drug-addicted, and dangerously deranged people off the streets, and will get them medical care. But we can't have what's happening in San Francisco and Los Angeles and New York and Chicago and every other Democrat-run city. In all cases, they're Democrat-run. The liberal policies that indulge these social maladies are not compassionate at all. They're an insult to law-abiding, hardworking citizens who are living in danger. They're living in danger. People that love their country, and they can't believe what's happening. They can't walk down the street. Atlanta, you can't walk down the street for a loaf of bread. You'll end up being shot.